Good evening, Abhishek, Himanshu, Nikhil, and Yash. How are you guys doing?
Yeah, you're doing good, right? You're fine.
Great. How's the day? Was it hectic?
No, I mean,
Speak.
we just got over with office
Okay,
and
okay.
meeting. So,
Great, great, great. So today, I think Venus is missing, but we can start. So today, the three topics that I wanted to cover. One is LangChain, another is Ragas, and third is 11 Labs. Um, Now, LangChain is a framework which a lot of people, if they have to do anything in AI, they basically start with that framework. It's a collection of library which allows you to, quickly talk to LLMs, all kind of LLMs very quickly, create prompt templates very quickly, even create like conversational agents and chatbots very quickly. So it is a framework which has been there since now more than 2 years now, very widely used. More than 1 million developers use it. And most of the people who are in AI would know LangChain. Either they have used it or they have heard about it. But it's a pretty, popular, you can say, framework or library, which a lot of people use. Primarily Python, but I think they also have Java version, JavaScript version of it and stuff. Second thing is Ragas. Now, Ragas is primarily a sort of a library which you can use to to see how your RAG pipe is working. And it is something, we have been discussing that, uh, RAG is a very popular, you can say architecture a lot of people use to ensure that they can give a very, you know, grounded to truth kind of answer. Grounded to truth means, something which is factually correct, something that you want to communicate without any hallucinations kind of stuff, right? So that is something, which we can use to see how good or bad our rack pipe is, how good our retriever is, how good is our LLM model is, and those kind of stuff. And the third thing, 11 Labs I usually what I would do is in all of these meetings, every day I will try to introduce at least one tool which we use so that, which we also know what tools, which AI tools are available, which can be useful in your application kind of stuff. So 11 Labs is something that I wanted to present today. So these are three things that will deep dive. Any comments from previous sessions or yesterday's session that anyone want to give any comment or start with? Okay, I'll just so first thing, let me just get into the simpler part, which is the ragas part, which is to measure how the LLMs RAG architecture is you know sort of measured, right? So you have set up your RAG, you have set up like your vector database, you have set up your embedding models, you have set up you have chunked your data, you have taken, let's say, your, we take this example, let's say you have a, HR policy document, you have basically chunked it, create embedding vectors of it, index that chunk into the vector database, and you have set up your connections or API keys and everything with let's say OpenAI LLM, and now you want to do someone queries and you want to see how, you know whether my setup is correct, whether everything that I've set up, my answers to my questions will be correct kind of stuff. So you want some kind of metric so that when you release it to employees or release it to a clients or customer, you know that my RAG architecture actually uh, is good kind of stuff, right? So in this in RAG, basically the two primarily two things, two components, big component are there. One is how do you retrieve the document. So let me just use, I think, this pen here. Yeah. So basically, let's say how this retriever, right? So how this retriever is primarily this one sec, this this model here, which is embedding model and then the vector model. So retriever means you are retrieving some context from somewhere. It could be a vector database, MySQL. It doesn't matter. But you're retrieving from somewhere. So it says retriever is this what is called. How good a retriever is measured by two metrics, which is context precision and context recall. I'll tell you, what do they mean, very shortly, kind of stuff. Once you have retrieved your, context and fed it into the, along with the query in as a prompt into the LLM, how good the answer is, how good the answer of the model is defined by the faithfulness and the answer relevancy. So these are the primarily four metrics that you can use to measure how good your RAG architecture is, kind of stuff, right? Now let's understand what context precision and context uh, recall is. And for that, basically, let me just go to the the uh, library website. Where is yes, there's just type here. You can type Ragas here, kind of stuff, and it will, yeah, I think I already have it here. So you go to Ragas. I'll share the link also in the WhatsApp group that we have. So basically, go to Ragas here, and basically, they have all kind of core concepts, all those kind of stuff, right? Fundamentally, let me quickly get to how you can install. You can install Ragas like this in your all the steps are there, which I will not get into that those details. But fundamentally, if you are let's say evaluating your test set, so what you have to do is let me go slow here. So first you have to basically, for you to measure how your rack pipe is, you have to create some kind of test, synthetic test. You can say uh, a data set. You can say that data set. It's in some kind of synthetic data set where you will say this is the query, this is the context, and this is the grounded truth or answer that I'm expecting, kind of stuff. So query context is similar to how would you do a training, fine tuning of a model, where you also give your question and answer and question answer kind of stuff. So that the LLM knows that the question is this, answer expected is this, this is the answer I'm generating, and this is the difference, kind of stuff, right? And then you measure that as a loss function, and then your losses should be almost zero, kind of stuff, right? Similarly here, you create a data set where you would say this is the question, this is the answer, and this is the context here, right? So that is basically is here. It is just talking about how you can create. Again, they have used LangChain library, right? Because so common, so widely used that people are very familiar with LangChain libraries. And although as I mentioned before that using OpenAI API is not very complicated. I can, the 4 5 lines of code, but because you don't just do a simple LLM query, you basically do a lot of other stuff. A library called LangChain actually brings a lot of stuff together. For example, LangChain is a chain, so you can actually chain and create, and we'll talk about that later, is how you can create agent kind of model. where one agent is talking to another agent and third agent and AI agent kind of stuff. Right? So LangChain actually allows that, which so create your agents, and that actually is very interesting. We'll not cover today, but we'll get into that, right? So once you have created your data set, then you evaluate your data set, and that's basically is how your evaluation of a data set is, where you're given the question, you have given the context, and they have given the ground truth. There are three things that you have given, and then you basically evaluate. And as I said, there are primarily two components in the RAG. One is the retriever, which is a vector database and embedding kind of stuff, and is the generator, which is primarily the LLM. Right? So one is retrieving and one is generating the answer kind of stuff. And as I said, context precision and context recall are two metrics that you can use to basically see how good your retriever is, how good your vector database and embeddings and other stuffs is there. And then a generator, you can use faithfulness and answer relevancy to see how good your model performances kind of stuff. And it's basically a simple thing that with Ragas you can import these five things, and basically this is the definition of these five, right? So faithfulness is what? Faithfulness measures the factual consistency of the answer to the context based on the question, right? So how how good the answer the LLM is giving, given the context given to the LLM, right? So how faithful is, in some way, how faithful the answer is to the context which is given, right? If the answer is very different from the context, then you know that LLM, my LLM, something is not right. Either my LLM is not the right LLM, either my either I have to set the temperature, there's a concept of temperature in the LLM, which basically either the answers are very definitive or the answers vary a lot kind of stuff, right? So you can make your answer very creative if you increase the temperature kind of stuff, right? So either the temperature is not right or something like that, right? So you can fine tune that, or you can change the temperature and those kind of stuff. Yeah, so faithfulness is that. Context precision is measures how relevant the retrieved context is to the question, right? Which basically means that uh, if, see, as I said, when you're setting up a RAG pipe, you're when you're giving a query, there's only not one chunk that you give. You fetch like multiple chunks. You fetch check one, chunk two, chunk three, right? You may, because your score of chunk one is probably 98%. Your score of chunk two is 95%, and score of chunk three is, let's say, 93%. And said above 90% chunks, I will actually use as a context kind of stuff, right? So context precision means basically uh, you know, uh, how, whether my the, the top the topmost chunk that I have received, which is the 98%, is the most relevant to the query that is there, right? And that basically is and I think they have examples. I can give you examples also, but fundamentally it means that the most relevant chunk is at the top. That is the context precision means, right? So your 98% score chunk actually has the answer kind of stuff, right? And is the most relevant. So that basically is your vector model, if your vector embedding, giving you the best context as the topmost candidate, you can say that, for the context answer. So that basically context precision. Answer relevancy, that measures how relevant the answer is to the question, right? So first, faithfulness is basically how close the answer is to the context, right? Whether the answer is relevant to the context. It may be that the context is bad, right? It may be that the context was not actually correct, but how good the answer is to the relative to the context which is given. And answer relevance is how relevant is answer to the question. So it's basically the whole, you can say that, the LLM is giving you the relevant answer kind of stuff, and it is not giving you irrelevant answer. So answer relevancy, what you have asked something, and the question, and the answer is relevant to that question kind of stuff. So that basically is answer relevancy. Context recall is, it measures the retriever's ability to retrieve all the necessary information required to answer the question, right? So it is basically, context recall means that your context doesn't have is all the, all the three four chunks that you have taken all have at least some data, right, related to the query. For example, I might have asked, what is the what is the what is the leave policy, right, of or how many leaves can I take? That's the example I take, right? So if and whether the context that has been given, at least one of the context has that leave, I can, the leave you can take is 10 days, for example, some answer to that, right? So basically that is the context recall. You basically would want the context recall to be there to ensure that all the chunks have that data, at least some of the chunks have data. And you want the context precision to be high, which means that your first chunk or the second chunk has the most of the data. So I would have to, like, then instead of giving two chunks, you have to give like 10 chunks kind of stuff, because I don't know, my context precision is very high kind of stuff. And so this is something, four metrics that you can use to basically check your pipes. And I think they have given some kind of like question, ground truth and answer, right? These are things that you put in, and the context is something retrieved from the vector database. And then the context relevancy, faithfulness, answer relevancy, all these are measured. Then you can see if your relevancy is very low or your faithfulness is very low, then your something is not right kind of stuff. Then you can pinpoint whether the problem is in vector database or vector problem in the LLM. With that, I think this I'll definitely share this. You can try it. If you want, we can do an exercise later, maybe next week sometime, where we take ragas and actually measure performance of a rag pipe. Was it clear, at least to some extent, that how you can measure your rag architecture?
Yeah,
Uh,
Manish, yes,
yeah.
it makes sense.
Any confusion, anything that you have, any point or any comment that you want to make? Feel free to make. Right. So this is one thing I wanted to cover. The second thing is LangChain, and LangChain itself, has very good. I'll go to the LangChain, right? LangChain itself has very good tutorials that you can go through to understand what LangChain is, what LangChain can do, kind of stuff. We have not used LangChain as such, but we have used one of the products of LangChain, which is Langsmith, and that is to basically see the observability data of LLM. What if I'm giving a query to LLM, what kind of output I'm getting from that LLM kind of stuff. So observability part is something which is something that we've used, which is Langsmith. And it's actually very interesting if you're doing some kind of LLM and you don't know what your LLM is actually producing in real time. You would want to know that what query has come and what the response has been. So Langsmith is actually very good for that. LangGraph is something LangChain has just released for agentic application. And it's again very interesting that how you can use uh, a very simple, for example, I think they talk about here somewhere that how you can use graph, but fundamentally for the agents, and agentic world is basically coming. You would hear about a lot of agentic applications coming. uh, but how do you program your agents so that one agent can talk to another agent. It's is an interesting what you can say field coming up, and LangChain has of course introduced LangGraph for that, so we can use that. And LangChain itself, you know what I would do is go to Pinecone, because Pinecone actually has documented the whole LangChain concepts very very well. And although Pinecone is is a database, vector database, but they have actually explained LangChain, very very beautifully. I'll share this with you again. You should look at it if you are if you're looking to develop application. LangChain is not a bad idea to start with, because it can, with LangChain, what you can do is you can actually connect to multiple LLMs, without really needing to know how those APIs for each LLM, right? So we saw OpenAI APIs, but Mistral APIs are different. Uh, your Gemini APIs are different. Your Hugging Face APIs are different. Your Anthropic APIs are different. Claude APIs are different. With LangChain, what you do is you just include the LangChain library and give the model name, give the and you're done. Basically, you just need to basically then query the LLM kind of. So of course, you have to give your keys and other stuff, kind of stuff, right? So LangChain is very good for LLM. So for example, here it's saying that they're very good for LLM, connect all kind of LLMs. They're very good for prompt templates. So if you want to create prompt templates where some kind of query, then you want to rework the template and then give it to the LLMs. They actually have very good prompt templates, simple prompt templates which you can create and then you can use it. If you want to create agents, AI agents, then of course LangChain is very good, because the concept of LangChain is you can chain multiple stuff, right? You can chain a model with an LLM, with a prompt, with an Adana agent, with a tool, with an API. So basically, the chaining is very interesting concept of LangChain, and that's how the chain name came in LangChain. And then memory, right? Memory is useful for your chatbot kind of application. So if you want to create a simple chat that then you will say, I want to use a LangChain library chat module, and then anything query is automatically, the history is maintained and history is given to the LLM, and basically the chat is happening. You don't have to manage any, you know you save the history somewhere, put it into LLM along with the query, next query kind of stuff, and then update the history kind of stuff, right? All that is done by a LangChain in the background. So there's the four major, if you just for the LangChain perspective, the four major benefits: prompt templating, talking to multiple LLMs without really needing to know what APIs to use for each LLM. So a standardized interface for you to connect to all the LLMs, create agents, simple agent, travel agent, multiple agents, and then connect those agents, and then basically give a cohesive single answer to the customer. And then memory, which basically is to manage the previous context in a chat kind of application. So basically, these are four major benefits of LangChain, and you can go through this. It's actually is not very complicated. You just need to install. If you are using, you know, Python, just do pip install LangChain, and then you can import your prompt template. You can then in the prompt template you can create a template like question and then question which is coming from the or you can write some kind of system template here, system prompt here. So all that you can do uh, without you needing to, you know, do all that work. Like you can talk to all the Hugging Face. Hugging Face, are you guys aware of Hugging Face? I've mentioned it multiple times, but are you aware of what Hugging Face is? Uh, I would assume no. Should I assume no? So,
Uh,
so let me just,
no, no,
yeah.
Manoj.
So basically, if you go to Hugging Face, right? Hugging Face is a place where it started with, you know, uh, with where you can put your own model. Let's say you have created a model and you want to then publish it somewhere, right? So Hugging Face is a place where it started with that. Basically, you could publish a model, and then people can download your model. They can query your model and those kind of stuff, right? So good part is that if you take, let's say, Mistral or Llama, if you fine tune and then your model is good, you would put it on Hugging Face. People can download and start using your model kind of stuff, right? So that's a good part of Hugging Face, because so this is where the all the models are there, right? So you can say the top model here is OpenAI Whisper Last 3 V3 Turbo, right? It basically and then NVIDIA, NVLM, and all those kind of stuff. You can also log in, or you can sign up, and you can create your own model and upload your own model. We have done that, when about 3-4 months back when we were trying to create a fine-tuned model. So we created our own fine-tuned model, we uploaded it here, and then we could use it in LangChain. The good part is if you upload it here, you can actually use in LangChain library. There's no challenge there. So any model would look like this. There's a model card. You can basically you can also inference. So this basically is an inferencing API, but some people allow you to query the model, load the model, and inference. Basically, do a query on the model kind of stuff. And then there are scores given to each model, which tells how good the model is with respect to certain metrics kind of stuff, right? And you can say, I want what kind of model that I'm looking for here. You can filter, maybe text to text, visual question answering, document question answering. If you are doing anything in AI, you would definitely come across Hugging Face. I mean, people would talk about Hugging Face in a whatever context, but Hugging Face is something that you will definitely hear in AI. LangChain is something that you will definitely hear in AI. These two are something that you should at least know what they do, kind of stuff. And of course, there are a lot of other interesting stuff. LangChain, as I said, LangGraph and Langsmith is also something you may want to use. Uh, we have used. I think I might just log in and show one sec. Uh, we have used this, LangChain for observability, and here it is. This is a project, and you can see that it is some kind of observability data is there. So, for example, uh, someone has typed register as a seller on Craftsvilla as a query, right? I can see all kind of query which is happening in my LM. Titan watch is amazing. Is the query that someone has done. So it's sort of I don't have here uh, other observability data, but I can also see what my LLM is giving. Right, this is the answer. What the answer LLM is giving. I can see the query which has been being put into my chatbot. I can also see what kind of LLM generation is happening, right? Interesting. A lot of people are searching here because uh, I can see almost lot of searches here today. So that's basically is about LangChain. Anything that you want me to focus on LangChain specifically? A few things that you have to know, that LangChain is a library which allows you to connect. That's fundamentally is why people started using it. It allows you to connect to all the LLMs without using custom APIs. So you include this library, and they do the grunt work of how to talk to OpenAI at the back end, how to talk to Mistral at the back end, and those kind of stuff. And therefore something very useful if you want to build like generic app with any LLM that you want to work with kind of stuff. I think I have something in chat here.
So,
Uh,
so LangChain is just we can call it it's a wrapper for multiple LLMs. Will it be
yeah,
broadly?
it's a broadly that is what it is, right?
So, why do we need vector database like Pinecone to use with LangChain? Is it only if we want to build some RAG application, or is it if I just want to query multiple LLMs? If I have a use case, if it is a mathematical query, then I want to use, let's say, something else. If it is English query, I want to use OpenAI. If it is something about coding, I want to use a different model. So if it is like this, do we still need a vector database or why do we need vector database along with langchain?
No, you don't need the Pinecone. So LangChain is so common that everybody integrates, want to create a library with LangChain kind of stuff, right? So if I'm using LangChain, I would expect, oh, can I use LangChain to connect to vector database, which is Pinecone, right? So Pinecone is doing is saying that I am there in the LangChain, and this is the reason why they have put this
Okay,
kind of article, right?
got it.
It is so in somewhere if you look at one sec, let's say retrieval augmentation, right? So here they would talk about, this is basically Wikipedia load the data set, right? Then once you have then you want to create chunks, right? So how do you create chunks is basically here, let's say they have used through LangChain, they have a text splitter.
Okay.
So what text splitter does is you define a chunk size of 400, but my chunk overlap can be like 20 tokens here and there and stuff. And this is some length function, tick token length is there. But primarily chunking, I'm using a text splitter, which is again from the library. If I have to use a splitter, they have PDF splitters, they have other splitters, doc splitter. A lot of splitters are available, right?
Okay.
If you want to split, then PDF, I will have to do some coding for this. I have to do coding here. I don't have to do anything. I just simply let's call this function kind of stuff, right? So that's where it becomes very interesting that LangChain kind of stuff. Then if I have to create embedding, right? So so here basically I'll say OpenAI embeddings, right? It could be Mistral embeddings, it could be this embedding and that embedding. And then basically I give the model name, I give the my key, and my embeddings are there, right? So I don't have to worry about, oh, how does OpenAI embeddings API works and stuff. It's just simple way of me to do. Now again here, uh, you know, here basically is a more pine code kind of stuff. They've given the index name, they've initialized it, get index. Okay, interestingly, I don't see they they are saying that they are in LangChain. Okay, here. Yeah. See here LangChain vector import pinecone, right? Somewhere in the LangChain library, pinecone is also there. Let's say you
Mm.
want to try with multiple vector database like ChromaDB, Pinecone, Redis, even MongoDB has some, or PostgreSQL. You would then have to suddenly, how do I talk to so many vector databases? How do I evaluate so many vector database, right? So I may want to evaluate also which vector database to use. I can just use LangChain library, import all the ChromaDB, everything, and then I just do these kind of function calls. So it makes things very simple and stuff. All these are wrappers. You rightly pointed out. Is all things are wrappers. These are simple interfaces given for so that you don't have to worry about the complexity at the background.
Understood.
Yeah, so basically it it of course has a lot more kind of stuff. So any other question from anyone? Okay, so the last thing which I actually wanted to spend time on was on the 11 Labs. Have you heard of this company called 11 Labs before anywhere? So we came across this company about, yeah. So we came across this company sometime, about a couple of months back. And we were very impressed that lost a lot of times when we were looking for a voice for a conversational AI agent, the voice was very robotic in nature, right? As if a robot is talking. Even if you go to OpenAI and use their voice, agents, uh, in the chat GPT, the voice agent actually is very human like, but that is not the case when you use Whisper, for example, right? Whisper text to speech voice is not very human like, it's very robotic in nature. So Level Labs and these kind of people, what they do is they have lot of option to use multiple types of voices, right? For example, I can use let's say I can use different types of voice here, like Brian, Alice, Bill, Gilliam, all these things. But this is a very small set which is there, right? I don't know if I share this screen level as maybe I'll just share quickly this particular yeah, maybe now I can hear. So let's say 11 labs voice generator, and so let's just listen to this stuff. Right? Were you able to hear?
Not able to hear.
I'm not able to hear you properly. Sorry, I'm not able
Manoj,
to.
the voice wasn't audible. I think you need to include audio.
Uh, uh, uh. Okay, one sec. How do I include audio here? Okay, in Google Meet, if you share the tab, then actually it it automatically includes the voice. Your Zoom is a little bit different. Oh, share computer science.
The 11 Labs voice
Can you
generator
see? Can you hear now?
can deliver
Yeah.
high-quality,
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
human-like speech in 32 languages. Perfect for audiobooks, video voiceovers, commercials, and more.
Let's say I just a
In the
simple.
ancient land of Eldoria, where the skies were painted with shades of mystic hues and the forest whispered secrets of old, there existed a dragon named Zephyros.
Can you see how they are telling a story, which doesn't look like a robot is saying and stuff. And I can use, for example, good part is I can also say uh, in Hindi.
प्राचीन भूमि एल्डोरिया में जहां आकाश रहस्यमय रंगों से रंगा हुआ था और जहां जंगलों में पुराने रहस्यों की फुसफुसाहट थी, एक जेफिरोस नाम का ड्रैगन वहां रहा करता था। ड्रैगन्स की और डरावनी कहानियों के विपरीत जो मानव दिलों में आतंक फैलाती थी, जेफिरोस एक अद्भुत और बुद्धिमान प्राणी था जिसकी वो सभी लोग पूजा करते थे जो उसके अस्तित्व के बारे में जानते थे।
Can you see how he's speaking in a very natural Hindi language kind of stuff and actually telling a story kind of stuff. And good part is you can also create a clone of your voice. So voice clone is also there. So I can create my own clone of the voice and as if Manoj Gupta is speaking kind of stuff.
And this is a paid app, Manoj?
It's there's some this basically you can start free. I mean, unlike
Okay.
Synthesia, which actually was not a completely free. Here you
Mhm.
can start free. You can play around. You can create your own. Uh, you know, uh, you can create your own voice clone. Uh, try so it gives some credits basically. I have low credits, but you start with some credits kind of stuff. Right. They also have a tool called voice isolator. So if you have a lot of voice noise in the background, you can actually use a voice isolator to isolate the voice of the customer so that the voice chat can happen and stuff. Good part is if you're writing a blog, for example, I wrote this blog, I could generate the speech, create audio file, and create a podcast kind of stuff, right? And I can do that in my own language. I've not done that, but for example, Rush. Okay, but definitely I want to try that. Clone my own voice. What one of my actually developer did it, so I have not done it, but that actually seemed very interesting kind of stuff. So for voice, basically, 11 Labs is something a lot of people are talking about right now. Some is an app maybe you should keep in mind if you are looking at doing something in voice. In fact, our belief is that people will stop typing after 2 3 years. People will just use voice. Everything will become voice. So you'll be talking to your app using voice. You'll be buying using voice. You'll be interacting on social media on voice. So a lot of voice will start to happen, and that therefore voice is anything related to voice is something that we should look at uh, with deep interest. Uh, yeah.
Yeah, Manoj, if I'm not wrong, you talked about like voice search in one of the application that you have enabled, right? In some e-commerce application.
Yes,
So
yes,
was
yes.
that like, can you just like elaborate on that?
Yeah, yeah. So there we did not use. So we did not use voice as a conversational medium. We use voice as a capturing the input of the query. So someone will say, show me saris in green, green jewelry or whatever, green shoes or white shoes under 1,000 rupees, right? Someone will say that. We'll do a speech to text, and we were using Gemini speech to text there kind of stuff. We were not sending the voice back
Okay.
that oh, here is a great shoes for you kind of stuff. Now we are evaluating, and therefore we came across 11 Labs. How do we you know have a voice reply kind of stuff? And therefore these kind of we didn't want a robotic voice. Otherwise it looks like you're reading as a robot kind of stuff. You want someone with a voice where some kind of emotion is there, some kind of you know uh, some kind of variation is there, so as if someone is speaking kind of stuff, right? So that's where we are looking at 11 Labs right now. We're of course evaluating others also. There's a company called Assembly AI. I don't know if guys have heard of that. That also is a very interesting text to speech, speech to text company. And translation is also in context of India. Translation is very important. The good part is at least the Hindi is covered here. They have Hindi voice. Of course, they don't have other local language of India, but Hindi is there. So
So
you,
Manoj, I
I think
was
you should try
trying.
this. Yeah, you should try this in your free time whenever possible. Yeah, you had a question.
Yeah, so Manoj, I was saying that I was trying Whisper speech to text. So I have
Mm,
a call recording.
mm,
We basically I wanted to what I wanted to build was can I have a call recording text and a transcript
mm,
ready for all the calls I have and the recurring calls so
mm,
that in a way I can figure out some sentiment, some keywords, and do some analytics over it and use that for some feedback loop. Maybe
mm,
quality of something, quality of discussion and all. But
mm,
where I got stuck was that call because the conversation was in Hindi, the speech was in Hindi, MP3 file was in Hindi, and it was translating into text.
mm,
Though it did a good kind of a good job, but still it was not something that I can rely on because the kind of Hindi it was typing back was not, I would say, really good so that I can rely on the conversation and run it at a red scale. So, do you see any other speech to text models which are out of the box or which we can use it directly are better than Whisper as of now?
So we basically see Whisper is, I don't know, Whisper is probably based on previous GPTs. So let me understand your architecture, right? You basically captured your call, so created a sort of MP3 file, right? And and then you uploaded it where? You you
It was
you use the
on the
Whisper
AWS.
API. Okay, you use the Whisper API too?
Yeah. So basically, what I did, so my call recordings are on AWS,
Yeah.
and I have a public URL for that AWS. So
Uh-huh.
I passed that URL into my Python code where I was calling the Whisper API
Mm-hmm.
uh, directly from my IDE,
Yeah.
and it was in the console. It typed back the whole Hindi conversation. I used transcription with timestamps in Whisper.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it gave back, but the output of Hindi was not accurate because the conversation was pretty fast. Also, it was not a very streamlined. It was discussion between a client and a buyer. Uh, I got stuck there because the output was, I would say, it is still 70% okay, good for a sentiment,
Mm-hmm.
but not good to find out keywords or the meaning of a sentence.
Okay. And your conversation was bit Hindi and bit English, or was it completely Hindi and completely
I would say
yeah, or
70% Hindi, 80% Hindi, 20% English.
okay, got it, got it, got it. See, one thing, and we basically, I'll check the architecture that we have. I think we are using LLM for translation. So what we are
Okay.
in somewhere, I can look back and see, exactly what we're doing. But what we realize that if we give the the s- the the audio file itself to the LLM, and you're basically you want it to summarize, right? So you basically don't care
Yeah,
what transcript comes, right? You just want it to summarize.
correct.
You
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely.
right. So you can give it to the LLM. You can say
Hmm.
summarize this, and you can summarize in English, right? So if you don't want it in Hindi, you can summarize in English, and it should do a better job in my view rather than making it two-step, which is
Hmm.
basically
Hmm.
the step to convert from text to speech and then speech to summarize. Sorry,
Yeah, yeah.
speech to text
Speech to text,
and then text to summarize.
text to summary. Right. That was so okay. So in this case, you're saying directly. I can try that. I can try directly doing with LLM. So yeah, one thing
Yeah, we
this
can
I can
try it
try.
here. Let me just see. Let me just quickly uh, go to ChatGPT, right? Because ChatGPT should do the same thing. I think I might have a wave file. The file. Okay. Where is Uh, course in AI session. I don't know if you'll take this large file. Summarize. Uh, let's try this. Saying it is having an issue and then it's trying to do it something different. Okay, that failed. And maybe it's too big. Do you have, maybe I don't. Hmm. Maybe it takes MP3. I don't have MP3 file. I have a web file. Okay, so they cannot do, unfortunately. Okay, Gemini. I think then we must use Gemini.
Are these very big files?
No, they're not. I don't think it's not saying it's a big file. It's saying it cannot process. Definitely we have done this somewhere. Gemini is not free. Oh, okay. So I think it's something to have to enable it in my. Okay, I'll come back maybe tomorrow. I'll 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 figure it out with my developers what they did it.
Sure.
But it's an interesting
But
problem
do
that you
you
have put here.
any other speech to text model which you think I should try?
You can
Which
try
you think? Okay.
assembly APIs.
Okay.
They also, I think we have heard are good.
Hmm. Sure. I'll just give it a shot.
Yeah, just give it a shot. I think they might have
Sure.
some free credits. I have not tried to verify, so I can't tell you. But
Sure.
this is
Sure.
also
I'll
something we
just
have heard. Here he's saying we try API for free. Maybe try.
Sure.
Okay. Any other question from anyone? I think we're almost out of time here.
Manoj, like I was just wondering if you can go like in some depth of that e-commerce search that you talked about, the voice
Yeah.
search part.
Yeah.
Maybe maybe in like any of the subsequent sessions, if you can do
Sure.
that, that would be helpful.
No, I will devote maybe one session on that itself.
Okay.
and tell how we did what we did, and each,
Okay.
each with what the problems that we saw, and how did we solve those kind of problems. Because it's an interesting thing. We started with something we thought it was going to be very quick, but then we realized, oh, this problem is there, this problem is there, this query is not working, this that query is not working. It was
Okay.
sort of interesting. So I'll definitely devote one session. Let me think about whether it's tomorrow or next week. uh, I'll just come back on that one.
Sure. Sure. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great. Any other question from anyone? Okay, then I'll see you tomorrow. Bye bye. Take care.
Sir,
Thank you.
Bye,
Thank you.
Manoj. Thank you.
hi sir, it's Yash here.
Yeah, Yash.
Sir, could you please yesterday I pitched my startup idea to you,
Uh,
okay? In the construction procurement sector,
yes, yes, yes,
and
yes.
providing a chat assistant to construction stakeholders. So my basic use cases, what I am finding out, as I've told you, I am creating an e-commerce platform, okay,
Mm,
for material procurement. With
mm,
that, as an add-on, what I'm thinking to provide these construction stakeholders like contractors, like currently their conventional thumb rule is that they assess by seeing the area of their site and the architectural drawing, like how
mm,
many cement, how much cement or how much bricks would be required, right?
mm, mm,
By a general thumb rule.
mm,
This thumb rule is applicable for contractors which are basically there for 10 to 15 years of experience, and I am finding a use case such that I would provide them this estimation with the help of AI assistant. Okay,
mm.
so how should I in which direction should I move? Could you please tell me how to develop this AI assistant?
So
Or
first thing is, like, you would want what answer that you expect. What question are you putting in? What answer are you expecting? Kind of stuff, right?
okay,
So let's say you so do you have do you say that for 1,000 square feet of two BHK, two-story of single story, this is how much cement I need, kind of stuff, right?
yeah, yes
Uh,
sir, yes sir,
do you give wall area? Do you give floor area? Some kind of numbers you will have to give, right? So that it can detect
yes
it.
sir,
So, so, so if you have some answers to that, right? So
okay,
one thing you can do is you can take a simple model, right, and train it with your data.
okay, okay,
So you say, and you can do that in Gemini very, very simply. Gemini, I think, has some free, or you can also do in OpenAI,
okay, okay,
right? Or you take OpenAI. If you need any help, we can discuss in the next session. But
okay.
you create your question answer. Maybe
Like
you
in
give,
supervised ML, like.
yeah. It's basically supervised fine tuning. It's basically
Okay,
you give a question answer, question answer, question answers. We have seen with 50 or 100 answers, the next answer, if you want the LLM is actually pretty well trained, 50 to 100 answers, and then you give that to, and then the LLM will answer on its own, kind of stuff. You can try it.
okay,
Actually, it's an interesting case study.
okay.
It's not a very complicated. It might take you like 2 or 3 days to do it,
Okay.
but
Uh,
it might just turn out to be good.
yes, sir. I'm just getting used to with this AI field,
Mm.
right, sir? Like I don't have in-depth knowledge of how LLMs perform. I have a basic knowledge of how LLMs perform or what are the
Mm-hmm.
LLMs, and I'm going in that direction. Okay,
Yeah, I mean, you open AI, you can open account. That's not a challenge, I think. Fine tuning APIs are not very complicated. You just need to create, as I said, data set creation is a big challenge. How to
okay,
create a data set, because you have to create
okay,
50 answers, question answers. So
okay.
creating 50 question answers, it takes some time.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay, sir.
But you can be the first one to create like a LLM model for construction,
Okay, okay, okay. Means
for Indian
like
Indian construction.
Yes, means if any person like feeds their values or some values, they would get an
Mm.
estimation of how much bricks would be required, or
Yeah,
how
yeah,
much
yeah,
sand would be required, or how much cement would be required.
yeah. And you can then feed other data also later on,
Okay,
which might be your own knowledge about different stuff for
okay.
different region or different, and LLM can then answer more richer questions
Yes,
uh,
sir.
than we could
Actually,
answer.
sir, going into the insights of my startup, main problem of my construction stakeholders is not this one, but
Mm,
the new builders and developers, like the young builders and developers who are there, like me, in the age of 25 to 30, those who are starting, they
mm,
find a little task like मैं कैसे सोचूं कि like मुझे कितना मटेरियल आज लेना है, या ओवर
mm,
इन्वेस्ट ना हो जाए मेरे साइट
mm,
जॉब साइट पे. कभी कभी like these are the questions typically young builders developers face, right? But the
mm.
experienced one, they know कि okay, मुझे इतने सीमेंट के बैग्स चाहिए, या मुझे इतना like टन का like स्टील चाहिए. They know this type of things.
Yeah, so you can train. I mean, the now, but the question for you will be, how do you get those answers?
Answers, okay, for these questions these are the answers. So should I
Yeah.
like
So
make this
interesting.
Excel sheet right now?
You should make the LC sheet. Question, answer, question, answer, question, answer.
Okay,
And
okay, sir.
then we can tell you how to train your own LLM and how to use it.
Okay, okay, sir, I would do that first. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.